Brought to you by Discount Tire, America's Tire, and by Eaton Detroit Spring, made in the USA in Detroit, and by MSD Ignition, the fire to drive.
Hot Rod Program, $5. Hot Rod Program, get your program, $5. Hot Rod Program, Hot Rod Program, $5. Hot Rod Program, get your program, $5. Hot Rod Program, get your program.
With the Detroit Autorama boasting almost 800 cars on display, it's safe to say there's just about one of everything. They're all here. Full customs, classic restorations, muscle cars, hot rods, hand-built one-of-a-kinds, and more.
I started with a 1992 Jeep Cherokee. I cut it all apart and built a 1x1 square tubing frame underneath for the dump box. The cab is built out of 1x2 square tubing, and I wrapped the cab with like 16 gauge sheet metal, and the ribs and stuff like that vary different thicknesses for what I thought it might take. I was looking for a project, and I was at work, and me and the guys were talking, throwing ideas around, and we saw a full-size Tonka truck down in the gravel pit, and they're like, "Why don't you build one of those?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" And that was it, and it was on. To come up with the sizes and the dimensions and stuff like that, first I had to get a Tonka truck after I got the idea. I didn't have one, so I got one from a guy at work. He kind of snuck it out from one of his kids. It was in the sandbox, and that was my model. I measured everything off that. This is basically 10 times bigger than the original. When I take it on the street, it's crazy. It's off the chain. I've got people honking horns, thumbs up, people riding bikes stop, people walking turn around. They poke their friends in the ribs. Hey, look at that, I'm Dale. I'm a Tonka toy playing backyard wrench head.
This is a 1939 Packard 120 convertible, and when I got the car, I thought it was a jewel, and we found everything from about 1.5 feet down on the car was patched, and the farmer that I got it from must only had braze. Nothing was really welded, and as we got into the car and pulled all the patches off, there was nothing underneath it. The project turned out to be a lot more undertaking than what I expected, but I got into it so far, I had to finish it. And the bottom 1.5 feet of this car was technically gone. Everything had to be hand fabricated, from the floor, the body mounts, the rockers, everything. Once all the sheet metal work was completed, I then took it to a guy by the name of Frank out on the east side that was the painter and body man, and he finished sculpturing the body. And we put the body into a diamond white. It's an Escalade color, and it's called a tri-coat, and it had to be painted in 3 stages, and the color combination was picked this time by my wife. The crowd reaction on this car has been phenomenal due to the fact that the color is so bright, and everybody it grabs their eye, and they can see the pearl in it. They know it's something different. Also, the interior in this car, it's the original jump seats in the rear, but we use bucket seats and a console in the front. And the interior was done by a local guy in Waterford by the name of Carl. He and I together have designed the interior. This whole car had been built in the garage at home. This didn't go to any shop or anything. I'm just a local guy with a couple friends that come over and help, kind of backyard wrench head style. It's nothing for my wife to feed 5 to 10 guys every night that are there, pizza and beer, and that's the way you build a car. 4 weeks ago, this car was just a shell. It had been painted, and in 4 weeks, we completely assembled the car, got it running, and got the car here. You ready now? My name is...
Don't look at the camera. Don't look at, even before you start. Don't even just look.
My name is Ed Michael, and I'm definitely a backyard wrench head. And I'm car crazy too.
My car is a 1931 Chrysler CM6 Coupe. They built the car for approximately 18 months. It was the height of the Depression, so they kind of carried the body style over. This would be considered an early 31 for a Chrysler purist because it has a one-piece windshield. I wanted to build a hot rod that I could drive on the street, but I also wanted to race it too. I'm a very hardcore Chrysler guy, so I wanted to keep it as Chrysler as possible. The grille and the frame and the body and drivetrain is all Chrysler. The drivetrain for the car, I wanted to have a streetable car, but I also wanted to race it on the weekends or on the street when, the chance arose. It started with the 1957 354 Chrysler Hemi. I put a 392 billet fuel crank in it. Has aluminum hot heads, cylinder heads on it. They've been highly modified. It has a 871 Littlefield high helix high pressure blower. The intake manifold is a Lion 8-671. It's one of 25 manifolds ever made, and it holds 8 Stromberg 97 carburetors. All the carburetors work, all 8 all the time. I just converted over from a Vertex ignition to a MSD ignition, and it's going to get some more upgrades as soon as I get home with a crank trigger and a number 7 box. The wheels are Raider tri-ribs, 4.5 inch in the front, 10-inch rim with a 12-inch wide Nostalgia slick in the rear. Did all the modifications basically in a one-car garage over the course of about 4 years. Everything you see on the car was fabricated by myself and my son. I'm Brian, and I'm a I'm Brian, and I'm a backyard. I'm Brian, and I'm a backyard wrench head. I gotta move you over so I can read it off your shirt. I'm Brian, and I'm a backyard wrench head.
It's their 60th anniversary of the show, and it's my 50th anniversary of being in business, building custom cars, boats, bikes, and it happens to be my birthday on the same day today. It's like half motorcycle and half dragster. It's the 6th one I built, and the early ones were kind of vanilla and maybe cheating. That didn't have the technology that this has got. This took 3 years to build. I designed it to be really long, kind of sinister looking, which I think I pulled that off. From the front to the back, I married like a motorcycle and then a cockpit I'm sitting in and then a dragster behind. Everything here has been handmade, everything. It's a big block Chevrolet. It's got 1,100 horsepower. Every now and then I take it on the street because it's got turn signals. The police officers just sort of scratched their heads and said, get this thing back in the garage because it's kind of loud. But it has turn signals. It's got the high beam, low beam. It's got everything you should have. Yeah, I did a car for a guy and we lost him. He passed away, but Wolfman Jack, and when he came to my shop, he was like, all right, Sonny, I want something wild. Gotta have a motorhome. I look at him and said, your motorhome? So, the way he carries on, I did murals of caves and all this stuff. He goes, all right, the Wolfman. And I put a wolf like on the crest of a mountain. A really crazy, cool guy. All right. I'm Sonny, and I'm a backyard wrench man. And that's what makes it bad. Oh, backyard wrench man. All right, yeah. Wrench head. I'm a backyard wrench head, and that's what makes this bad and dare to be bad. You're cool, man. You're fun to work with, man.
It's a 1967 Ford F-100. It started as a stock pickup with a 302 in it. I pro-streeted the truck with a 460 with a tunnel ram, drove it around for a summer, and then decided that I wanted to go a little crazier with it. The engine is a big block Ford. This one started out with a Ford Motorsport racing block, made 1,100 horsepower on a dyno. We've got an 871 Littlefield blower on there, topped by two 950 double pumper blower carburetors from Holley. Got MSD ignition. The headers are all hand fabricated by myself. The rear end is a 9-inch Ford that I narrowed myself. I shaved all the stock body seams that were on the truck. Any seam that was on there that I could smooth and shave, I did. Shaved the door handles, of course, because of the suicide doors. All the body work was done by myself and a couple close friends.
We had blocked and blocked and blocked to get this thing as straight as possible, and then I topped it with DuPont Hot Hues True Blue Candy, and then I airbrushed all the graphics, and we incorporated some flashing LED lights into the skull that's airbrushed on there, and the nitrous oxide where the purge system exits is through the skull's nostrils. I have a small paint shop that's located in my backyard. I usually do a couple hot rod builds a year. I'm Wes Adkins, and I'm a backyard wrench head.
This presentation of the 60th Annual Detroit Autorama was sponsored by Discount Tire, America's Tire, and by Eaton Detroit Spring, made in the USA in Detroit, and by MSD Ignition, the fire to drive.